So, like, was there a time period where you did just, you don't remember anything from it?
Yeah, the first like two weeks I was in a coma. Like medically induced, I don't remember anything. And then for months after that, like 2 months after that, I remember pieces. I call it my own reality because of the drugs that they had me on. Strange things I saw. Like my nurses and doctors, to me, they had no faces. All they had was eyes. And to me, that was the reality of it. I had these people working on me who just had eyes. What really it was, they had the mask on, so it was blocking their nose and their mouth, but that's not what I saw because of all the stuff I was on. So, some crazy things. Some things, honestly, that I will never say to anybody because they are so crazy. I will never tell exactly some of the things that I thought in my head because it was nuts. Really crazy. I could write a really cool horror book, or nightmare book.
So how did the color almost kill you?
Well, the canal almost killed me. The fungus that I had on my hands was from the canal.
Okay.
And the fungus spreads really fast. And I had it twice on my palms. So they cut my palms off the first time. And then I got the fungus again. They cut my palms off again. And they said if it was going to happen again, they were going to cut my hands off. Because if it spread any farther than that, I was probably going to die. So they were going to cut my hands off, and I know it doesn't seem like it would be that bad because really, I mean, this is all the use of my hands I have. But I do everything. I travel on my own, I live on my own, I do everything. So what I do have for hands, I really do appreciate. If I lost my hands, I'd figure it out. It would take a little longer, but I would figure it out. But yeah, it was the fungus that I had that almost killed me.
And when you fell in the canal, were you underwater, or could you?
It was really shallow. It was really shallow. So I was like laying on the bottom, but covered in water. Like my head was out of the water. That was about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you remember how long you were in the water? Or
Not long. Probably like maybe 30 seconds before my buddies found me. My buddies found me. One of them grabbed my vest and found out right away that the vest it basically disintegrated in their hands, so they couldn't lift me. And then the other one grabbed my legs, and that's when I felt the pain in my leg and realized that my leg was really messed up. Yeah, so it wasn't too long.
So you said you struggled with your faith a little bit in the hospital. What made you get your faith back?
I had a really awesome chaplain in the hospital. He would come and visit me in the hospital every single day and help me through a lot of stuff. There were some odd occurrences that happened with me that kind of brought my faith back a little bit. Not long ago, actually, my dad told me about something I said when I was in the hospital. And I couldn't believe he waited so long to tell me, first of all. But when I was in the hospital, I saw this like bright light. And it was in my own world hospital room. It wasn't the actual hospital room. It was this really bright, like pristine looking room. And there was a light. And for some reason this light to me was my grandfather. And I don't know why. But my grandfather died when I was very young. So I don't know why in my head that was my grandfather. Well, later on, my dad every day in the hospital, he would ask me, "Where are you? And what day is it?" Just so I could get an idea of where I was and what day it was. And every day I would answer 100% wrong. And I would say I'm in Minnesota. I've never been to Minnesota. I don't know why I would say Minnesota. I think I was cold, so I said Minnesota. I don't know, honestly. I was really confused with what was going on. Now, obviously, it was way off on the dates. So one day he asked me, where are you? And I guess I said, I'm in the shipyard in Philly. And my dad's like, oh man, that's weird. So a couple years ago, or about a year ago, he told me about that, about the shipyard in Philly. He said, yeah, you said you were in a shipyard in Philly. He's like, did you know your grandpa worked in the shipyards in Philly? Which is the oddest thing, because I have no idea that my grandpa worked in the shipyards in Philly. So there were some things that happened to me that strengthened my faith, and now my faith is different from everybody else's. I'll tell you that right now. But my faith is also very strong. Yes.
How did your injuries impact your relationship with your family?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest things. My family was there for me every single day, every minute. My dad, he had to go home one time to do something back in New York, but other than that, he never missed one single minute of time in the waiting room or in visiting hours. He also had, what was I gonna say? Him and my mom. My dad was there for 7 months, so the whole time I was in the hospital. My mom was there for 2 years, helping me out doing things. Things you do for a child who are, 4 or 5 months old, not 24 or 25 years old. That was very hard for me to have my parents do those things for me again. But it really strengthened our relationship, and we're really close now. Same with my brothers. My brothers had to do things for me that no brother should ever have to do for their brother. But they did, and they didn't complain about it. So my relationship with my family is amazing. I just know that they're always there for me. And if I need help with something, they will be there to help me. And it's huge. I truly believe that's the reason I survived. They took any kind of negativity. If there was anything negative going to be said in my hospital room, they would take the doctors outside so they could say it. Like, for a long time, I didn't know that they had amputated my leg. They didn't want me to know because I was dealing with so much mentally already. They didn't want me to know that my leg was gone. So if any conversation came up about my leg, they would take it outside so that I didn't know what they were talking about. Yeah, so any negativity in the room was taken out so that I didn't have to hear it. So my parents helped me through a lot of stuff. Huge. To this day, our relationship is so much stronger because of it. Yep.
Based on your experiences in being to Iraq, do you support sending like troops into foreign countries to help? Like, do you think it made a huge difference, or do you like?
Yeah, that's a tough one because my view on it, especially with Iraq, because I was sent there. I don't concentrate too much on the other ones because I wasn't there. But with Iraq, I believe we were there for the right reasons. But I think you don't get to hear about the right reasons all the time. I think we went there because hundreds of thousands of people were being killed by Saddam Hussein. I don't care what religion you are, I don't care what color you are, those are people. 100,000 people were being killed by Saddam Hussein. That should never happen. Somebody has to stop it. And if nobody else is going to do it, then, in my opinion, it's our responsibility as a human, not as a country, but because countries rule the world, we have to step in and do things. And I truly do believe that we went over there and we stopped the guy who was going to kill hundreds of thousands of more people. And the problem with it is I mean, then you look at it now and what's happening now, and it's a mess. So, doing a right almost created a wrong, and it's hard to say. I mean, if we could just fill the world with people who didn't want war, it'd be that easy.
Do you think we should send more troops to the situation that's occurring right now?
Yes and no. I would love that to be the answer, the simple answer, and the fact that we wouldn't lose anyone. But I know we're going to lose people because it's war. If we don't send troops, it just gets worse over there, and we basically have to just forget about how bad it is in other places of the world. You know what I mean? It's easier to forget about things than it is to actually deal with them. And yeah, so that's a tough one for me. You know, because I talked about it yesterday. People talk about my buddy Montez, and they'll say, he died for nothing because he went over and fought in Iraq, and now look at it. And that really bugs me because what we were building over there, what we saw people building the schools and him playing soccer with those kids, he didn't die for anything. He didn't die for nothing. He helped out a lot of people, but now to see where it's gone since we've left is really frustrating. Really frustrating.